Um, Chapter 2. Back at the castle. Crunch, smack, smack. This apple is way too sweet, Sora thought, chewing with his mouth open. Sora squinted and barely made out Donald at the end of the long royal table. Sora knew that oh my god, what is this? Sora knew that if I'm like I can't read this. Sora knew that if Donald had seen him chewing with his mouth open and feet on the table, he would have a fit. Good manners come first when sitting at the king's table. I'm not gonna do voices. I'm not. Okay. At the king's table, he always said, "Well, if I can't see him, he can't see me," Sora thought. Donald and Goofy were talking about royal affairs. Sometimes they asked him to join in on the conversation, but he found it was way too boring. Just like this meal, he thought. He needed to escape. Just then, a group of magical brooms walked by. Perfect, he thought. Quickly, he ushered one to come over. Okay, Sora said. Stand on your head and spread out your bristles to look like my hair. The broom obeyed, and from a distance you couldn't tell the two apart. Really. Now for phase 2. Sora stuffed the rest of his apple in his mouth, got down on all fours, and then crawled out the door. A servant saw him in the hallway and gave him a funny look. Sora smiled at him, and the servant shrugged it off. Sora walked down the long and winding hallways of Mickey's castle to the courtyard. It was almost always abandoned, and besides, it was the only place he was allowed to use his Keyblade. He thought about going into town, but he always felt awkward. Not only was he the only human here, but everyone stared at him because of the rumors that flew around about the Keyblade Master and how he and the king had saved the universe. Frankly, he was sick of it, and he hated. Oh my god, where am I? He hated being branded the Keyblade wielder. Sick and tired. He took out some of his rage on some of the hedges that grew in the courtyard. Sculpting hedges was about the only non-lethal thing he could do with his Keyblade around here. But he didn't mind too much. It helped him work on his aim and take out his aggressions, and on the plus side, he had gotten quite good at it. He looked at some of his earlier sculptures. His eye caught the first one that he had ever made, as small and awkward. It was supposed to be a bird, but in the end it would... God, what? It would wind up looking like a rabbit. Apparently I didn't use spell check, or even read this twice. Oh, God. He cocked his head to one side. Or maybe it's a turtle? He looked at some of his newer hedges. You can see I've gotten better, he said out loud to no one in particular. He looked at the people, animals, and other various things he had created. It was his only way to let his emotions out. He couldn't talk to anyone. He was all alone. Suddenly he was overcome with rage! Rage? Really? He was overcome with rage! Why me? He screamed, wildly swinging at a hedge. With a final cut, he looked down at his creation. A Heartless. Ah! He screamed, knocking off the Heartless's head with a well-placed chop. Queen Minnie rushed out into the courtyard. Sora! Sora, what's wrong? She grabbed his hand. Sora! Sora stared ahead, stony-faced, at some unknown distant point. Sora, please tell me! I know what you're going through. Why? Sora looked down and realized that Minnie was hurting too. Her husband was still out there fighting, and the fate of the universe was still in his hands. He reached down and hugged her. So, oh, this is a pause. We've switched scenes. And now we're back to Riku and Kairi. What's been happening since the islands reformed? Riku said. Well, Kairi took a deep breath and started. The islands slowly reformed and people started coming back. Well, when everyone came back except for you two, people sent out search parties to the other islands, and days turned into weeks, and slowly people stopped looking. But so far, on Sora and yours birthday, they've left a little memorial. Your parents are really worried. I don't want them to see me like this. He sounded disgusted with himself. Anyway, tell me more about what's happened. Okay, well, after everyone came back except you guys, everyone kept asking me what happened. I should probably make this a better angle. What happened? So of course I told them everything I could, but nobody believes me. Oh, Riku, it's horrible! Kairi broke down. Why can't things be the way they were? She sobbed. Riku rubbed his eyes and cursed under his breath. Come with me, he said. We are leaving. Wait, what? Kairi looked up. Just get up and leave? Yeah, you said yourself nothing in this town is worth staying for. When did this happen? Yeah, you said yourself nothing in this town is worth staying for. Kairi thought about it for a second. Can I at least say goodbye to my grandmother? Sure, say goodbye to whoever you love. I'll wait as long as you want. Chapter break. Sora, it's time to come in now. It's getting late, Queen Minnie said. Can I stay out a little longer? Sora's eyes fixated on the moon. Well, I had a feeling you'd say that, so I brought you a blanket. Sora gladly accepting it, draping the cloth around his shoulders. Sora, I'm glad you told me how you feel. I know it must be hard on you. Sora sighed, still staring at the moon. Well, I'll leave you alone. Please don't stay out too late. Minnie left, leaving Sora alone at the balcony. Are you there, Kairi? He whispered into the wind. Can you hear me? Are you looking at the moon? Do you remember our camping trip from the 2nd grade? I do. All the ghost stories Riku used to tell us kept us up all night. And to calm ourselves down, we talked about what we lived up there on the moon. I miss those nights. End of chapter.